Hello everybody, I am the Black Sigma, or you could just call me Eric. And the bellboy from the Gatewater Hotel? Ah, guests, my apologies. Oh, it's you. Have we met somewhere? Huh? Mr. Edgeworth, I beg your leave. So long. Is Edgeworth here? There, standing by the window, a teacup in his hand. Right. He has the hotel bring him tea service? Mr. Edgeworth, you're back from the district prosecutor's office inquiry? I am. By the way, Detective Gumshoe was looking for you. Ah, yes. He brought me the latest information, it seems. Really? Was it helpful? Apparently, a new French restaurant is opening near here. I think he was trying to console me, somehow. The real info is on the other side, Edgeworth. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. I think this whole thing is really taking a toll on him. Anyway, Edgeworth, how did the inquiry committee go? Actually, they decided to treat this not as a case of concealing evidence, but as a communications error during the investigation. Concealing evidence? Yes, apparently there are some who believe that I concealed evidence. They gave me a warning. You were lucky this time. Again. Again? I've heard them say that so many times. Ever since that case 2 years ago. Edgeworth. Are you okay for the trial tomorrow? Well, I'm still the presiding prosecuting attorney, however. Something happened? They gave control of the investigation over to the police department. The police department? Yes, any further investigation for this case will be directed by the Chief of Police, Gaunt. I can do nothing but wait for his results. I see. Why, I ask you? Why? All along I've done only what I believe is right. I have nothing to be ashamed of. But still... Well, I've never seen him this out of sorts. Edgeworth. Do you mind if I question you about some evidence? Right, please. I'm the prosecutor on this case. You don't expect me to sit here and discuss the case with you over a cup of tea. I'll pass on the tea, just tell me about the case. Mr. Wright, Mr. Edgeworth just told you no in a very polite manner. Whose side are you on anyway? Maybe if I just show him my best evidence, I can get some reaction out of him? How about things related to SL9? No. No. The floor plans of the blood? No. How about the fact you entered that room on that day? I'd better check this now. As I was saying, What's this? A record of ID card usage? Edgeworth, you went into the evidence room that day, didn't you? Just before the incident occurred, no less. Yes, that's true. Why, Mr. Edgeworth? Please don't look at me like that. I was asked to go. by Chief Gant, no less. The Chief of Police? He wanted evidence for a case that wrapped up half a year ago. AI-16? Haven't heard of that one. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. But it was solved, right? It would have to be if the evidence was already filed. The chief is never one to explain himself. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. Can I ask what kind of case it was? I can't say. It really has nothing to do with the current case. Evidence from a past case of Edgeworth's, brought back to his office by Gant's request. Wait, it's a flathead screwdriver. Maybe the case was about tampering with the demon core. Yeah, I'm sure everyone who watches these videos will get that reference. Stubborn as always. I told you this has nothing to do with the current case. Right. Oh? I shouldn't have skipped that dialogue. I thought he was going to say nothing, but... bringing out the SL9 knife, he's talking about his father's murder? Okay, Edgeworth, why don't you tell me about... Okay, what did you actually say? I know you. You've probably got a hold of some information already, right? It has to do with that case you were on, the SL9 incident? And some dark suspicion you were wrapped up in? You are the man who revived the worst memory of my life. I figured I'd be telling you about this sooner or later. Right. So... the SL9 incident was a heinous serial killing in the case. The head of the investigation was the deputy chief of police at the time, Damon Gant. That wacky old coot was involved in the case 2 years ago too, then. He was a top officer, and it was my first time working with him. I was nervous. Well, you get nervous too, Mr. Edgeworth? What I want to know is why was a deputy chief of police on the investigation? In truth, I used slightly more extreme methods than normal. We were dealing with a vicious murderer. If I let him go, the blood would be on my hands. We won our guilty verdict, and the killer was executed. Wait, you didn't? Of course not. I didn't touch the evidence. Yes, I will do anything in my power to win the trial. However, I do have a code, and I follow it faithfully. By the way, Emma, the chief prosecutor wanted to know something. My sister? What? If you were still studying forensic science. Huh? Yes, of course. Why, just today Mr. Wright and I were using this. Luminol testing fluid, Well then, you might have use for this. Aluminum powder for taking fingerprints? It's been chemically treated for better adhesion. For me? Are you sure? We are the enemy, you know. I've no say in today's investigation. Do as you will. Edgeworth, I'm really... No need to thank me. Here, take your powder and these fingerprint files for everyone involved. Thanks. Though you should probably have given these to Detective Gumshoe as well. Well, let's let go. One last investigation. Right. I do seem to remember seeing a suspicious handprint somewhere. Of course. The one on the blue badger! I mean, if it is actually that, I'll be kinda surprised, but... may as well. Well, it seems I can't investigate the handprint on the blue badger. What a shame. Guess we'll have to check elsewhere. I.e., the evidence room. Our investigation turned up a suspicious handprint. Here, in this blood on the detective's evidence locker. Let's use the aluminum powder. Right, let's get started. First, choose a finger. Each finger leaves behind a slightly different imprint. So let's choose which one we think will be our best option. I'd say the thumb because it's the most complete print. Time to check for prints. Let me show you how it's done. First, we sprinkle the aluminum powder around. How do you do that? With the A button. Right. It adheres completely to the print. Once it is spread, blow away the excess with X. Okay. That looks like fun. It was probably more fun on the DS when you'd use the microphone to blow into it. It's fine. It won't go up your nose or anything. Just pour the powder on thick and blow away the extra. Okie dokie. Aha! You did it! You found one! But this looks nothing like a fingerprint. Now that you mention it, I guess it doesn't. What does it mean? I think it means we're out of luck. Out of luck? The person who left this handprint must have worn gloves. Don't tell me we've been wasting our time here. Calm down, that's just the way it goes sometimes with scientific investigations. But it does seem a shame. While we're at it, why don't you look for other prints? Looking at the locker door again closely. Seems like there are fingerprints outside the bloody handprint as well. You mean this one? Time to dust the entire screen and then blow it away. Ah, now this is a print, but apparently not a complete enough print. So I'm just gonna reapply the dusting over the whole thing until the game agrees that it's clear enough. Yay, a print so clear it's dazzling. Dazzling? Anyway, this print took a lot of effort to find. Let's match it up right away. So we're not quite done yet? This is quite a process. Well, there's no point in finding a fingerprint and not knowing who the owner is, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. Look at the fingerprint data we got from Mr. Edgeworth and point out the person you think left these prints. Ah, this one is Detective Gumshoe's print. Match found! Huzzah! Aha! So these prints belonged to Detective Gumshoe. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? You gave me this so what look? Guess that's probably because I was thinking so what. Okay, so we came up with nothing this time, but there's always next time. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. Hit or miss, I guess they never miss, huh? You gotta roll with the punches, Mr. Wright. Thanks for the sympathy. Wait, if I remember correctly, there was another handprint in the room. But also, whoever left that bloody print was wearing gloves? There was a glove left on the scene. One that I haven't checked super thoroughly. But apparently I can't check it any more thoroughly. Oh, this is an extremely thin rubber glove. But we also know Lana was wearing gloves on the day of the murder. Oh well, time to check out that other print. This is where we got the luminol fluid reaction, right? Right, there was a handprint here. Okay, want to try using this? Yeah, of course. Let's check it for prints. That's the spirit. Oh, but I have to warn you about something. The area with the blood was wiped away, right? We only found it using chemical remains. Any prints in that area will have been wiped away too. Oh, right. So that means no prints. Would you say the probability of your hypothesis is high? Don't ask me. Anyway, we must try to find prints that weren't wiped away. Other than the ones left by the bloody hand? What about directly next to the blood patch? After all, if they wiped away the blood, maybe they didn't wipe away the area directly next to the blood. They only cleaned as much as they needed to, sort of thing. Yeah, huh. Really? How is this still not clear enough for you? Oh my god! There we go. And this. This looks kinda like our Jake Marshall print. Yep. We've got a match. These fingerprints, they're... Whose are they? Whose? Is it someone I know? It's Officer Marshall. Huh? Officer Jake Marshall? Marshall's fingerprints found on a bloody handprint left in the evidence room. That's got to be a coincidence. He's not involved in the crime. Emma? This is decidedly different from Detective Gumshoe's prints. The luminol reaction. The blood and the fingerprints are in the same place. Oh. So we have Jake Marshall's fingerprints on a wiped bloodstain. But why would Officer Marshall... Looks like our investigation is finally turning up some results. I guess this is what you'd call decisive evidence. I don't believe it. Well, time to take this decisive evidence to court. So, what do you think, Mr. Wright? Think the prosecution is as confused as we are? After all, the victim who was... Lana... The victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time, and a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana? Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. Hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects, the police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Skye. We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belonged to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Ms. Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Court is now in session for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Well, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as a prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. That's supposed to be an admirable trait? Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. And so, we will hear the testimony of... sorry. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir, I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You've got to believe me, sir. Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is, sir, I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. And so, as I tried to say earlier, we will listen to the testimony of Officer Meekins in the next episode. Bye.